All right, fellas, we're back for another week of the podcast. Matt Cooper, Flex Report, Derek Williams with Quick Cut, Preston Jackson, Big County Preps. We're gonna jump right into it. Good game, a good game. East Bay versus Riverview, a little rivalry down there. Matt, you were on the scene. We're coming right at you, man. Talk to us about the game. How'd it
Man,
go?
what a game that was. And there was a pretty big crowd too. I saw a lot of some of the other players that had a bye week out there kind of watching the game. They knew it was going to be a big one. It started off Riverview, man, they were running the ball pretty well. Rico, he had a quick 9-yard run. And then he had I think it was an 85-yard run all the way to the house. So they were up pretty quickly in the game. By halftime, it was 18-0. So I know Riverview was pretty pumped. East Bay, though, man, you can't count them out, man. They came back strong that second half. They had a really nice play. Rocco, their quarterback, he threw, I think it was a 35-yard play to number 2, DeAndre Caldwell. Great play. What really set them up, though, they actually went for 2. They missed that, but they when they did their kick, they actually returned the punt recovery. So put East Bay again in a good position where they were able to run the ball and get another touchdown. So it was 18-12, and there's only a few minutes left. Went all the way down to the end. There was a questionable call play through to DeAndre Coleman to pretty much win the game. And fortunately, it didn't go his way. The ref said he was out of bounds. It's very close. It's really hard to tell. In the video, I was trying to slow it down. It's just tough because in my video that I had, you can't really see the top part of his body in the football. But so he eventually was out of there. Riverview's defense stepped up. They actually had an interception, the very last play of the game to seal it up, and that was the game. It was pretty exciting. So if you guys missed that one, man, you guys definitely got to go check those highlights out.
Number of players, I'm just looking over stats, man. Jalen Sneed for East Bay, like he had a fantastic game for 23 carries, 165 yards. And then Schultz with Riverview, 16 carries, 135 yards. So were those running backs just that good, or the defense is just that soft?
They both have great running backs, actually. I think they're really that good, man. And they both had pretty decent defenses too. So, but the running back, Rico Shows, man, he's incredible to watch. He broke free, and if you watch some of his last game, even last year, he balled out. Like, this is nothing new to him. So him running like that, it was fun to watch.
Derek, I'm tossing the ball to you. Talk to us about the Riverview running back Rico Shows.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a standout game each game this season, and went up against East Bay, did the same thing, just long runs. I think what makes the Riverview's offense so potent is they're so well balanced. They've got a threat at the quarterback spot. They've got good wideouts. They've got a good offensive line that can pass block and run block. And then, they put the ball in this kid's hands, and he gets it done. We're going to take a look. You're going to see the first play right here is against East Bay, and he takes it 80-plus yards. And then we'll take a look at his highlight real quick. Just well-balanced, good vision, and good size. Catches the ball out of the backfield.
Against Brandon, first game of the season, where the Sharks won 52-0. He had 5 carries, 117 yards. And then it probably didn't play much against Freedom. 7 carries, 78 yards, and like he averaged 11 yards per rush. Held in check, it seems, by Chamberlain. I'm not sure if you know, Matt, but did an injury occur? Because right now, just 5 carries and 29 yards, but then exploded, like I said, against East Bay, 16 carries, 135 yards.
Well, let me tell you what happened against Chamberlain. He returned a kickoff for a touchdown, and as you can see right here on the screen, he made a 33-yard touchdown catch out of the backfield. So they got comfortable in that game pretty early on, and so you're going to see him just right here down the sideline, makes a great play on the ball. So he caught a touchdown pass and returned a kick in that game. So while he didn't have a lot of carries out of the backfield, he made his impact felt in the return game and out of the backfield catching the ball.
157 all-purpose yards against Chamberlain in a 49-3 win. So Rico Shows did his thing against Chambo. What else do you like? What Matt? You've seen him in person a few times. What do you like about him?
I like that he's all about his faith, and he's definitely always like glory to God. I kind of like that when I see that in kids, and so I know he's got a good head on his shoulders. I met his grandma. She was a very nice lady, and his little brother. I mean, they got a nice, well-rounded family. But so when it comes to the game, though, he's very passionate about it, very dedicated, and he works hard. I've seen him in the spring. I've seen him 7v7. I've seen him these last couple of years, and he practices just as hard as he plays in these games. So I really like watching him play. He's a great player, and plus he's if you talk to his teammates, they all like him a lot, man. He's just a nice kid.
Flip sides, Derek Forrest. Let's go defense. Everything starts up front, and Pinellas Park has a dude, man. You sent me film, and they got one. Javon Williams, he's a senior, 6'3", 290, 300-pounder. You hit me up, you're like, yo, you got to watch this kid. So talk us through this film.
To get out in Pinellas County a little bit and start digging through some game film and putting game film on this kid, I tell you what, there's not a weakness here. He plays. I mean, he can get after the run. He can get after the quarterback. He's got great use of hands. He already has just high-level FBS size, 292 pounds. And this kid plays with a motor. I'm telling you right now, he is definitely one of the state's best defensive tackles. And it came as a shock, but when I put that game film on, this kid is legit. And we're going to go ahead and watch a little bit right now, but pay attention to his first step. Usually when you see guys first step off the line in high school, you're not seeing a 292-pound D tackle get off like this. This kid gets off. He's heavy-handed. He just does some great things on film. So we're going to go ahead and watch his film right here, and it's pretty amazing.
He's a handful,
excellent against a run, but can pursue the pass. It's really good technique.
Love his use of hands. Love his get off.
Look at that.
And that's 290 pounds.
Yep.
Getting skinny. That's how you beat the double team, getting skinny at 290 pounds.
Against Lakewood and Eastlake now. I mean, come on.
Right, no
this kid's doing. Yep. Look at that. Just real good leverage, extends his hands, and it's why height and arm reach is so important when college programs are looking for kids. That's really the main reason why they need that length and arm length so they can play. It's called playing with four eyes. You use these. You got your two eyes here, but these are your other two eyes right here. I had a long tenured NFL coach sit in my house one day breaking down game film. And he told me about playing with four eyes. And he says when a defensive end or a D tackle can get his hands out on you and control you, it frees up his two eyes. So he calls it playing with four eyes. And this kid does that. It's just and look at him right there, bend. This kid's good. I mean, this kid's a big three talent. He will have, he's a multiple FBS Power 5 offer type of kid. And honestly, I think one of the Central Florida's best defensive tackles, and there's some good ones.
But Max Smith is turning things around. He was the head coach at Bogey for a while, and is doing some good things at Pinellas Park. They've opened up the offense. He's an offensive-minded guy. But on defense, Dan, they're doing some really good things at 3-1 so far on the season. That's Pinellas Park. And a big win last Friday over Lakewood. And after talking to Coach, he said they pretty much had Lakewood in check the whole game, and he was really proud of the way his defense stood up. I guess it all starts up front with Williams.
Yeah, I tell you what, there's a play at the 2-minute 7 second mark in his film. It just shows you everything. When I'm putting together defensive line film, these are the kind of plays that really jump out on film. But just pay attention right at the 2-minute 7 mark. You'll see this kid right here. It's 1, 2, and he doesn't make the tackle, but I'm telling you, for a 290-pound defensive tackle to do that, it's pretty mind-blowing. And that's why, quite honestly, Preston, a lot of times, we talk about stats a lot, but there's a lot of positions in football that stats just it's too subjective.
No,
And so
absolutely.
a lot of times a defensive tackle or a cornerback, Preston, you know this, back in your day,
Yep.
if you had a great game, you may have had one tackle and nothing else because they didn't throw to
Yep.
you.
Yep.
So D tackles, it's all about being disruptive. And this kid right here, and I talked a little bit about the Gaither defensive tackle last week. These kids are as disruptive as it gets in the backfield, and stats really it just doesn't capture what defensive linemen often do, and that's what makes this kid just so. You got to watch the game film because stats will never capture this kid. What this kid can do right here.
All right, here with Aaron Turner, senior quarterback from Riverview in Hillsborough County. The Sharks are 4-0, Aaron, and you're playing some good football. What would you say is the main reason that you guys are having the level of success that you are having right now?
Number one, I feel like from the beginning of this year, we've had to really focus on a team. Count on me is our slogan. It was everyone needs to be accountable, and you need to be able to count on everyone. And if we can't count on you, then you really just don't fit. So I feel like all of us count on each other, and each of us just work well together, and that is definitely a part of our success.
Do you think that Riverview is that forgotten school down in South Hillsborough County? Everybody's talking about Sumner. East Bay is a traditional powerhouse. They kind of forget about Riverview some. Is that a way that you guys are kind of sneaking up on some of these teams?
Definitely, I feel like they count us out. They count us out because we haven't had a lot of success in the past, but it doesn't mean that we can't become that powerhouse. I mean, we did well. We had a well run in 2005, and everyone counts that out. And then we struggled there, and I feel like Coach T-Rod right now, he's done really well bringing the program back and getting the players that he needs in there and doing the right things and being coaching hard on us and just getting the program back to where it needs to be.
And you've made a tremendous jump. Let's count out before your injury last season. You had 11 TDs. Okay, you played in 6 games. You've had 11 TDs. You played in 4 games. You're already at 8 touchdown passes.
Yes, sir.
What's been the biggest difference for your incline?
I would definitely say our receiving core this year. I had really well one receiver last year, Harrison Hensley. He was a good number one guy, but after that it kind of declined very fastly. I didn't have a lot of weapons on offense to really work with. It was really me, Harry, and then our current running back Rico. With this year, I feel like our wide receiver core is very strong. We have Johnny Mathis, we got Isaiah Showtime, we got Cole, and we have Julian, big number 14. He's like a DK Metcalf, and it's just a way more well-rounded receiving core, good running game, and a better offensive line. I feel like it's definitely the team around me has really helped me get to where I'm at.
What's your best Coach Tony Rodriguez either impression or story?
I would definitely say after East Bay, I mean, we hadn't beat them in I think about 14 years, and he was pumped. He was going crazy. Everyone was yelling, and I think it was a more moment of not an impression, but like a proud moment to see him, how he's just excited for us, excited for himself, but mostly excited for us because we had accomplished something so big, and he was just going crazy. And then when we poured the ice on him, because he used to coach at East Bay, so it was
Right.
more to him. So when we poured the ice on us, probably one of my favorite memories, and just giving him a hug and telling him, "I love you, Coach."
What have you learned from him?
I've learned many things from him. Really, I think me and Coach T-Rod, we've worked on a lot of getting outside the pocket and throws where I was more in the pocket, didn't want to get outside the pocket. Quarterback, I was stuck in the pocket. I didn't really want to get out. Well, he's really expanded me outside the pocket, rolling out, getting my feet moving, and definitely made me more into a dual threat quarterback to where I was a pocket passer, but as the game progresses, now you see all these quarterbacks turning into a dual threat. You got to be that dual threat. You got to be able to take off of your legs and use your legs and use all the weapons to a quarterback.
Who do you mold your game after? Either a professional quarterback or a collegiate quarterback?
That is a great question. I would say more of like a, I would say like a Josh Allen. I would
Okay.
say he runs, but then he also is very good in the pocket. Definitely, I would say I want to be molding my game after like a Josh Allen, uh, Deshaun Watson, all those elite quarterbacks that are really well in the pocket, but if they can get outside of the pocket and make plays also.
All right, final question. What's one thing about Riverview football that people don't know, but they should know?
We're back, baby. Like you said when we posted on Instagram, we're back. We've been working. There's a lot of things that people underestimate us. I feel like before we came into the East Bay game, everyone's like, "Oh, it's just the same Sharks. They beat everyone. They're beat easy schedule. They're beating the teams that everyone should beat." Trust me, we knew that. We're over that. We know we're supposed to beat those teams. Now we're coming for the teams that we should be beating and we will be beating.
Big games coming up this week. We're starting to hit that part of the season where the cream's got to rise to the top. All your cupcake games are pretty much going to be played now, and now you start your little district run. You start playing the better teams in the area for the most part, especially for the public schools who can't make their own schedule. Just looking at the upcoming schedule, 5 games that really stand out. CCC versus Sebring, Clearwater Central Catholic versus Sebring. Looks like it's going to be a monster of a game. Winter Haven versus Lakeland. And I know for folks looking at that Lakeland team right now, they're wondering what's going on. Lakeland's going to be just fine. Don't stress it. Okay. Jesuit, Arnwood's going to be a good one. We happen to think that Arnwood might be the best team in the county. We're going to see when they play Jesuit. And then Tech versus Gaither. Gaither with a hellified defensive line. Tech with a biting defense. But last but not least, we've got Sumner and Wharton. Wharton with possibly the best defensive line in Central Florida. And we've got Sumner who has a chance to go undefeated. But with that said, I think that Sumner may have one of the best players, both sides of the ball, to their disposal, and that's Greg Smith. He's gotten better and better each year, each game. I think he's starting to take this defensive back thing seriously, playing back in the secondary. He's got a number of offers, the biggest offer coming from Florida State. But the question I'm tossing out to both of you guys is, how good do you think Greg is right now, and what do you think his ceiling is?
Yeah, I mean, when you watch him playing that center field position back at that free safety spot on defense, I mean, oftentimes quarterbacks and free safeties, they understand the game at a different level. Sometimes I don't know if that makes sense, but when you get a DB that also plays quarterback, the game comes slow to them, and you can tell that is what the game just kind of comes easy to him, and he's got such good size. He has really good range. He gets, he'll come up and make a play against a run, but just seeing a kid back there at free safety with his size and athleticism, he is a blue chip free safety type. But then you watch him throw the ball, and he's got that same type of ability throwing the ball. And I'm telling you right now, that's sometimes, that's how a USF or a UCF gets one of the big time kids, is to be able to dangle that, hey, come here and play quarterback, as opposed to going somewhere else and playing DB or what have you. So to me, that kid can play. It's just a matter of what he wants to play. And but he has a high level ability on both sides of the ball. There's no doubt about it.
No, I agree. And I actually saw he runs track as well in the off season, and it's funny to see those abilities come out in football. He got number 1 in the long jump. So I mean, the kid can jump. I mean, he's athletic all the way around. Last time I talked to him, and this is what I really like about Greg is, I think I think he kind of shifts back and forth which one he likes better, QB or DB. I think he started the season off really wanting to be that DB position. And I think in the next level, he'll definitely be a great DB. But obviously Sumner really needs him as that quarterback. So he doesn't, he's playing both sides of the ball, and he's being unselfish when he does that. But then I know right when he starts playing, he really gets that love of the game, being that quarterback as well. He has some really good targets. He's got a great line protecting him. Man, that team looks amazing. They have, they're 4-0 right now. They're going to be playing Wharton this week. If they play as a team, and this is really one of the games that I really would like to go see, because I always wonder how Sumner is going to do against these bigger tier teams, the Whartons, and so it's cool to see this happen. So I'm really rooting for Greg. I really think if they can win that game, they can go undefeated this whole season, which would be a great. Sumner's only been around 3 or 4 years, so for them to really be, we're talking about them going undefeated is pretty incredible. Derek, I think you might have some highlights, but he has that new weapon now. Malik Brown has came back last week, and he only had 3 catches, and if he had, I think, 135 yards, but he also had maybe 2 touchdowns. And I talked to Malik a little bit. He sent me some of his videos and pictures, and I've seen Malik since he was a sophomore at Armwood, so I've been watching him. He's kind of underrated. A lot of people don't talk about him too much. So to see him come out at Sumner and make really get his name out there, his first day out there, I think it's something to say. So Greg, he's going to be having a blast with those guys out there. He can throw to Tyler or to Malik, and they're going to both get up there and make a big play. So it's going to be cool to see how their season ends.
They have no weakness. And guess what? Their running back, too, can get it done. This team has no weakness. They've got those big, bookend offensive tackles that get after it. They can run block. They have a linebacker. I mean, they do not have a weakness, and it's something to see. And they just have high level. They're going to be a fun team to watch all year. And obviously Wharton, and they don't have they may not have any weaknesses either. But it's just that's going to be a heck of a matchup coming up. And Preston, we have some film on Greg and also Malik from this past game, and it's a special something going on down in the South Hillsborough area right now.
Now, listen, for the fans listening, the way our athletic director adjusts, I guess, tiers. We have a tier system in Hillsborough County, and our athletic director has a formula to where he places teams in that tier system, so they get better over time. Sumner being a newer team, they were on the lower tier system with their schedule. However, they'll get bumped up next year, and their schedule is going to look a lot different because of the success they've had the last 2 or 3 seasons. All right, and if you just look at their schedule right now, Wharton subjectively is possibly the best team that they have left remaining on their schedule, because they'll go Wharton, Durant, Leonard, Riverview, Newsom, Middleton. Now, that's not to down talk any of those schools, but those schools aren't Armwood, Tech, Jesuit. It's just not the same caliber of team. Yes, they're going to play good teams in the playoffs, but right now on the regular season schedule, they just don't have a slew of great teams that they're playing, and it's not their fault. They're going to win the games. They're supposed to win the games that are on their schedule. They have no control over their schedule. They're a public school. Now, I'm going to go on record and say this. I love Greg as a quarterback. I'm a defensive back by trade, by nature. However, I think Greg is a game-changing quarterback and would love to see him play quarterback at the next level. And there, we talk about it all the time. It's about fit, right? If he wants to be a top-level defensive back, then those big schools with those big logos, hey, I'm rooting for him regardless. But I happen to think that he is a game-changing quarterback, and a team that will value his ability, he could be a draft pick at that position if he really wants to play quarterback. And I don't think he has to chase a logo to be that. He's special and needs some refining and some training. But you see Greg as a sophomore at the collegiate level, I think he can have a coming out party and folks will know his name. Is it time for concern? And is it time for concern for these 3 teams? Venice, Lakeland, and Lakewood. Any time of the season, it's no way that you would think that a Venice team will be 1-2 at this point in the season, or a Lakewood team will be 0-4 this part of the season, or a Lakeland team would be just 500. Should folks be concerned with those teams being 500 and below? It's open-ended question. You guys, let's talk about it.
I think they should be concerned to start the season off like that. If you look at the schedules, it gets a little tougher as they go. You know, Venice is going to have to face IMG, Clearwater Academy International. I mean, they got some big, strong games ahead of them as well. They did just beat Miami Northwestern. That's a pretty big W for them. Lakeland, you know, they got some pretty good teams. They got to play against Winter Haven this week, which is and then Lake Gibson as well. I think people are ranking Lake Gibson a little ahead of them. So, you know, by getting starting the season off with the losses, it might make it tough to have that winning schedule this year.
Yeah, Preston. I mean, I'm looking at Venice's schedule right now, and I mean they've got some tough. They've got a tough group of teams coming up. But I mean, you got to look at. I mean, their losses are against Armwood and Cocoa, and you got to look at what Cocoa just did this past week to Aquinas. I mean, come on. I mean, that's a heck of a schedule. I mean, just looking at I have not looked at their game film yet. I broke them down last year. They've got a tremendous DN coming off the edge. They've got a really good athletic running back. They got a transfer quarterback in and all that good stuff. And they always have good line play. So I wouldn't be overly worried about Venice in terms of what they're doing. But that schedule, Armwood, Cocoa, Northwestern, I mean, come on. That is and then you got Riverview and Manatee coming up on the horizon, and IMG and Clearwater Academy to finish out the season. I mean, if I'm worried about Venice, it's just, hey, you got a tough schedule. It's like an SEC schedule right there. And but they've got a tremendous group of kids over there, always uber talented. They've got a sophomore defensive end that's just lights out good. I mean, they've got a bunch of kids over there, but I mean, Cocoa, I mean, they lost to Cocoa, and Cocoa just really kind of beat Aquinas. I don't know if you guys saw what happened there, but I mean, come on, that's a heck of a schedule right there. So I wouldn't be too overly concerned with Venice. So I think they'll get back on track. I don't care if they end up 5-5 at the end of the year. If I'm in the playoffs, I do not want to face that team. Nope, not at all.
Yeah. Venice is going to be well prepared for the postseason. They always are. Coach Peacock does a great job with his kids down there, and they stack those schedules on purpose. If I had to be concerned about one of those three teams, it might have to be Lakewood. It's no way I would have thought that Lakewood would have started 0-4. Possibly I would have said 2-2. I can see them going 2-2. But we're talking about SEC schedules. This was Lakewood's back half of their schedule, okay? They just lost to Pinellas Park. Remember, Lakewood's 0-4 right now. They just lost to Pinellas Park. They go Miami Edison, okay? Then they go Boca. Then they go Southridge out of Miami. Then they got Gibbs, Largo, Chaminade. It's very easy to say Lakewood might finish that back half of the season 500. That you got Chaminade Madonna, who's a national team. I think I left out Largo. You got Largo in there is going to give them fits. Okay, Coach Marks is doing a great job over there. And then Southridge and Edison. That's four teams. They might take L's on out of the last 6 games of the season. If I had to place one concern, or if one concern more than the other, Lakewood's got an SEC schedule. That schedule right there is tough, even more so than they start a season off 0-4. All right, we're jumping in here. We're going to feature a kid that has jumped out on film, I mean, straight off the screen. And he's been doing it super consistently. When you wear jersey 1 as a defensive tackle, your behind better be fan-freaking-tastic. And I think we got one at Gaither High School. Antonio Henley out of Gaither. He's just a shy under 6 foot. He is a monster. I mean, a get-off is unreal. Derek, please talk to the people about this defensive tackle.
Well, I mean, at the high school level where, you know, let's get out of college, you know, what kids become, you know, how much upside at the college level and all that. Let's just go to the high school side and focus on what they do in high school. This kid is not only I believe, the premier pass rusher in this county at the defensive tackle spot, which is very hard to do. This kid is one of the best kids that have rolled through this county in quite a few years now. And it's every single game, and I'm not kidding you, just going back to last year and in previous seasons, this kid's first step is as good as it gets. And he has a relentless motor. And when you watch game film, you don't even need to make a highlight tape. Just put on the game film and watch this kid terrorize the quarterback. So we're going to watch his film right here, and I'm telling you, just sit back and enjoy. And I'm telling you, to be able to watch this kid all this year and then next year, he is just as good as it gets. And his height gives him a pad level advantage and a leverage advantage on his opponents, and he sure takes good advantage of that. You're going to see him right here close the gap on Morton's quarterback, and he's in the backfield. Here he's against Jefferson. Watch his first step, and now watch him chase the guy down. Here we go. They throw the wide receiver screen, and he chases the guy down to the sideline.
So big time.
Steinbrenner right here. Good use of hands. Gets held. There's a flag. Still in on the sack.
Now, in the right college conference, we're always talking about fit. I think he can play. He can play anywhere from the 0 to the 3 tech in the correct college in the correct college conference. Meaning that he can take on double. He can 2 gap at the 0 tech. He can beat double teams at the 1 tech. He can beat guys 1-on-1 to 3 tech. He's that good of a player, in my opinion.
He is. I mean, do you know what this kid would do to them? Like, wouldn't you love to see this kid go to we talked about Jason Cannell. Can you imagine this kid at Toledo in the pass happy MAC and getting after the quarterback and come on, that's we'll see.
The first thing I thought about Bowling Green. I thought about Miami over Ohio. I'm like all that stuff just fits him incredibly well.
Yep, I agree. I mean, when you go through that SEC grinder and you've got first and second round draft picks all across the front line and they're 6'5" and they get their hands out on you and they can maybe neutralize someone at the 5'11" 6 foot level. That's one thing, but just I would love to see this kid like what you were just saying. At the next level, he's going to be such a fun kid to watch. The Bucks just drafted a kid first round this past year at Pittsburgh that kind of played a lot like this and just had a tremendous first step. And so we'll see what happens, but I'm telling you, if you get a chance to go to a Gaither High School game, go watch this kid get off the snap. It is just a thing of beauty. And he is going to end up being one of the all-time greats at the D tackle spot out of this county. It's such a hard position to dominate at. And usually you get those DNs and guys off the edge that you're speed rushing by guys. This guy is making plays with a center guard, double team, ripping the double team. The things that he does just right there. Let's watch what he does. Again, let's go back to stats. The play when you pull this up, the play at the 246 mark against Jefferson. Watch what he does right here. Oh, man. That's not a stat, but what he just did right there is so impressive on film. I love it. Just watch game film on this kid. It'll blow your mind. So impressive. But
Matt, what you see, man?
Yeah, man, it looks like he's been balling since his freshman year. He's been on varsity doing his thing. His freshman year, he had 21 solo tackles. I thought his sophomore year was pretty impressive. He had 60 solo tackles, 16 sacks for a sophomore in varsity in this area. Is not bad at all. And he also had an interception, which is pretty cool. And then now his junior year, he's already off and running. He's got 11 solo tackles and 6 sacks. So, yeah, man, this guy's fun to watch. He's a handful when he gets through that. I love Preston's his word. He gets skinny. He's in their face, man. Every play. And you're right, Derek. He might be one of the best in the county.
He's got 30 sacks in 25 games. 8 sacks as a freshman. Jumped up to 16. He doubled that, right? 16 as a sophomore. Right now, after 3 games, he's already got 6 sacks. All right, he's a menace.
Dude, yep. I'm telling you, man. I mean, and he's got another year left. When this kid is said and done, I'm telling you, this kid's one of the special talents in this county. And a lot of times, the quarterbacks and the running backs and the wideouts get all the love, and I get it. But man, these linemen, this kid right here is just cream of the crop, and he's such a fun kid to watch on tape. So it's going to be interesting. You start adding those numbers up, Preston. Again, I don't know what stats and all that can be very subjective. What is a sack? What isn't? but this kid lives in the backfield all day long, and he's doing it through the center, guard, tackle. I mean, he's engaged with linemen on all of these plays. It's amazing. Good looking kid, man.
All right, let's hit up Pasco County. And quietly, Pasco County has produced some really good quarterbacks. And this year is no exception. So we've got some quarterbacks coming up here in Pasco County. And I think there's an argument to be made who is the top dog in the county. And if you had to take one, Matt, which guy would you take to build your team around out of Pasco County?
I'm actually gonna slide somebody else in there. The quarterback from Cypress Creek, man. This guy looks pretty solid. His name is Jack Newman, and this kid is ranked. Let me pull him up. I just had him. He's ranked number 2 right now for passing yards. He had about 859 passing yards so far for the season. But I like those passing type of QBs. It's fun in high school to watch him throw it. So I'm going to go with him as my QB. Jack Newman on Cypress.
Okay, so Caden Thomas at Mitchell is doing some good things. He's just a sophomore. He's a 2026. And Mitchell, if you know anything about Pasco County, they had a run for about 5 or 6 years where they were probably the cream of the crop in that county. Sun Lake had about a good 7-year run. Pasco owned the county for like forever. But as everything changed, everything runs in cycles. Mitchell was traditionally the top dog the last couple of seasons. Okay. Caden Thomas is a sophomore, has been doing some fantastic things. He's 924 yards after 4 games, 8 passing TDs, and then he's second on the team in rushing with 117 rushing yards. Now, you can't overlook Luke Knight at Wiregrass. Okay, you just can't overlook Luke Knight. Luke Knight helped Jesuit win a state championship as a sophomore. They went 15-0, winning the whole doggone thing. He ended up moving to the other side of the state, ends up back, quote unquote, back home in the Tampa Bay area, and then chooses a new school at Wiregrass, which is his district school. Okay. So now Wiregrass Ranch, behind his leadership, is really moving in the right direction. Now, they just beat Mitchell, okay, in a barn burner where they scored like close to 100 points in the game. But Luke Knight is the guy that's driving the train right now for Wiregrass Ranch. They're 2-1 overall. Their schedule's about to get fun. But right now, Luke Knight, if I had to build a team around a singular quarterback in Pinellas County, no shade to any other quarterback, but I'm going with the veteran and state champion Luke Knight, Wiregrass Ranch.
Preston, I agree with you. Yep. He's got such a nice release too. He's got good pocket presence, and he might not be 6'2", but he plays big. He's got a quick release. I'm all on board the Luke Knight, what you just put on the table. Yep.
And after watching the Bucks game,
yes, absolutely.
There you go. Right? Yes, he got this Baker Mayfield type feel to him.
Yes,
very confident.
Yep,
very bold, cockiness. His whole mannerism is kind of Baker Mayfieldish. What's his jersey number? Is Luke number 6? Yeah, and he's number 6. There you go. All right, here we go. We got a weekly mailbag, and some good questions came in. About 20 of them, and about 5 or 6 of them dealt with Sumner. Okay, Matt, coming to you on this one. I'm just going to kind of wrap all of these up because they all kind of say the same thing. Is Sumner the best team in Hillsborough County?
Man, that's a hard one. The best team in Hillsborough County. I think on any given Friday night, they can be the best team in Hillsborough County.
There are a number of them that talked about the East Bay game versus the East Bay versus Riverview game. And they all pretty much said the same thing. There was a catch towards the end of the game that possibly, at least on the scoreboard, would have won the game for East Bay. Okay. Flex, what was that final score? They lost by 4, correct? Did they lose by 4?
They lost by 6. So if they would have got that touchdown, they just kick a field goal and potentially won.
All right. So Riverview beats East Bay by 6 points. There's a catch at the end of the game that would have tied the game. With an ensuing extra point, would have likely won the game for East Bay. Derek, coming to you. You've got the film. You've got the clip. We're going to give you the first call. Did East Bay get robbed?
All right. In my opinion, I'm looking at this frame by frame and on our platform here. And the thing you want to take a look at is this right knee and right foot is coming off the ground right here. So then rewinding it back a frame, the foot looks like it's off the ground there, and it looks like it's on the ground there. So in my opinion, the question is, does he possess the ball in this frame? And I'm going to back it up a little bit. You see the ball coming in, right? And if he possesses it right here, I would say yes. If he possesses it right here, I would say yes, it's a catch. But if he possesses it right there, which I think he does based on his fingers around the ball right there, I think that foot might be coming off the ground, and I think the referee got this one right. But it's close. There's no way that the ref – here, this is what it looks like in full time. Okay? So you tell me. Let's look at that one more time. This is what the referee sees in real time. There's no way to be able to really call that. So we're going to back it up frame by frame, and it looks like he's got 2 feet down here, and it's just a matter of, does he possess the ball? It's a tough one. I'll leave it to you guys. What do you think?
I think you got it wrong. I think it's a completion. I think he's got 1 foot down. I think he has that right foot down right before the back line with possession. And I think the ref was just in a position where he had to make a call and he couldn't tell. So it's hard to tell real speed, but we have the privilege and we have the privilege of slowing it down and kind of piecing it together. It's incredibly hard to do it real time. Flex sent over he was at the game and he sent over his film because we kind of breaking it down at the same time. And I tried to piece together his film with this film, and I think for me that right foot comes down right before the back line, before the baseline, and he has possession, and I think it's a touchdown.
So you're saying on this step right here?
I'm saying on that step right there with Flex's film. So right there, it's hard to see where that goal line. If we take the back post, if we take the goal post, and we try to run that goal post all the way around, and we run that goal post straight down, I think his foot is right at that line. See, I think you're going up. I think you're going down too much.
Yeah, but I think there's 2 lines. I think there's 2 lines here. There's one in front of the goal post and one behind. There's 2 lines right here. And I think that is the back line, and I think there's one more line right here. See there?
I don't think that's it. I would
be in agreement. He's definitely in. He got 2 feet in. I don't know. I think this is a line right here. I could be wrong. And it looks like there's 2 lines back there, and it looks like it's out. It looks like it's behind the line here, but in front of the line here.
That is incredibly tough. I think Flex's video is what sent me over the top. Like, yeah, I think it's in because on Flex's video, if we're talking about the same line, his foot lands right like it's dang near right up on top of the line. Flex, is that you in the orange hat?
That is me right there, running out the way.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
All right. So let's back this up again. All right. So I would agree. This right foot is in. So now that says, do we have a left foot down?
Well, we only need one in high school. We only need one, and he had possession.
I thought in high school and college it's 2, right?
No, in the pros it's 2. I think it's a completion.
For 1, yeah. It's close. I think it's in, but so the first line, it looks like he's out of it. But then if that wasn't the right line, then I can't really see. It's hard to tell. Man, either way,
Yeah.
man, that was a tremendous play. I think, man, I hated that it ended like that, because I do feel like East Bay feels a little robbed for it. You know what I mean? And then at the same token, Riverview is not going to really be able to. I mean, they're going to enjoy their win. Don't get me wrong, but at the same token, it's going to be like, well, it's not really. You didn't really get the win. You got the win, but it's hard to tell. So it's going to keep a lot of this. I like the word Derek said earlier. It's subjective. We could all watch it and all come up with a different answer. Which leaves the kind of like the story plot unsettled. Did they really win or did they? But in case the viewers didn't know, East Bay has won the last 14 years in a row. So I am kind of like the underdog type of guy. So I kind of like to. That's the only reason why I said last week I thought Riverview might win that one. But man, it does not count out East Bay. Like I said, I think they're going to go run their schedule the rest of this. They're going to have a great year. And you asked me last week if I thought that they would have this about the same type of record as they did last year. They won a playoff game. They got them, and then they lost. So they had a 10-2. I think that they can be really close to that record. I think if they can win their first playoff game, if they can get past their second playoff game, but they can go with the 10-2 record again this year. They looked really, really good out there. And for them to march back like that and potentially won the game, it's really hard to tell. There was no more time on the board. They would have got that. They would have probably kicked the field goal. It would have been very hard for Riverview to come back after that. But Riverview played good. They got the points up early on the board. It made it where they could almost sit back and chill. Never want to do that, but East Bay really, really marched back. It was pretty impressive to see that. That number 2, Coleman, he's good. He's going to probably, I would assume he starts getting some D1 offers soon if he doesn't already. Rocco, their quarterback, it was the first time I really got to see him play. I'm really impressed with him. He's got a lot of height, but he also has a lot of heart, man. He's definitely passionate about the game. I tried to talk to him a little bit before the game, and he was focused. He's like, I really don't want to talk right now, Flex. I'm like, nah, yeah, do your thing, focus, go get you a W. There's always somebody has to win it, and I think this year Riverview got it. It's tough. They're probably not going to be able to get to really, really celebrate their win as much because you're always going to get that, well, was that catch, really a catch or not, so, but there's always next year. And I'll make sure we cover that game next year as well.
Hey, and it's always next week for another podcast. Great job, you guys.
Sir.
You guys.
Sir.
All right. We're out.